Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Daniel Hood Roofing. East Tennessee folks, it usually gets a late snow or some sort of ice storm in March. We get them all the time. Be prepared if that happens this year. Daniel Hood Roofing can provide you with what they call the ice and water shield for your home. Line up a free estimate by calling Daniel Hood Roofing today. Operators are standing by. You can check them out online at danielhoodroofing.com, and at that website you're going to see all kinds of testimonials from East Tennesseans like you who had their roofs put on by Daniel Hood Roofing and are very, very happy with them. All right, let me put up a graphic here. Veer and shoot quarterbacks and receivers. The green guys at the top of that, the kind of green guys, those are people who played for Art Briles at Baylor. And the guys in blue down below that are guys that played for Josh Heupel when he was offensive coordinator at Missouri, when he was at UCF, and then, of course, last year in the draft, Velus Jones from Tennessee. You have some good names there. Now, you guys here on the set with me don't have to stare at that. Don't worry about it. What I'm going to run through is the quarterbacks in this system. There are three of them. They've gone number 2 overall in terms of RG3. They've gone in the second round, and they've gone in the fourth round. Of those, only RG3 showed real promise, although injuries messed him up. Drew Lock didn't really succeed with the Broncos, and Bryce Petty, part of it is he went to the Jets, so nobody succeeds there, but he didn't have a great time there. Wide receivers seem to have an easier transition. Kendall Wright, Terrence Williams had good careers. Josh Gordon had a really good career when he was on the field, not having off-field problems. Gabriel Davis with the Bills has been productive. Velus Jones showed a few flashes last year. So not all have been hits, but you've had more hits at receiver than you have quarterbacks. My question then, is this telling you that it's easier to get out of, it's easier to find a quarterback from the veer and shoot system, or it's easier to find a wide receiver, the veer and shoot system? Or do you look at it and go, well, it's just hard to find quarterbacks, period? Where are you?
I'm going to go with it's hard to find quarterbacks, period. I watched Robert Griffin when he was in college. I was impressed by him as an athlete. I thought he had some problems with accuracy a little bit. But in that system, guys are so wide open that the accuracy really didn't come into play lots of times. Of course, I think his injury probably hastened him leaving the NFL. But I just think it's hard to find a quarterback. And I think receivers probably give you more of latitude. Are they good in the NFL? Can they play in the NFL? Are they starters? Whereas quarterbacks, you're either pretty dang good or you don't last very long.
Yeah, wide receiver, if you have the ability, they can figure out what to do with you. Josh Gordon, off the field, he ran into issues. On the field, he destroyed everybody until he got later in his career. So that can be the case for Cedric Tillman, for Jalen Hyatt, with their physical ability. NFL teams, I think, can utilize. Hendon Hooker, he's more of an NFL prospect having played in Tennessee's system than before he arrived in Knoxville, right? I think finding a quarterback is just really difficult. If you have the physical tools and the ability and the maturity, NFL teams will give you a shot. RG3, the best he looked was right after he got out of college.
Yes, initially. Yeah.
Well, I think Velus Jones is when he got to Tennessee, I didn't think he was going to be much of a game-changing player. He came from USC. He was pretty nondescript in his stats. Came here, looked really good, and watched a lot of Bears games last year. And he looks to me like he's going to be a solid player in the NFL for quite some time, kind of a Jawan Jennings almost kind of player. He's going to be around. He's never going to be a superstar. So I just think that the system lends itself more to, you can see what the receivers can do from the standpoint of hands and speed and all that stuff. And the quarterbacks, I just think going into the NFL, the system doesn't matter as just much as when you get there, what you can do and what they can teach you to do.
I just think you have to teach them more, though. I think because they're not reading as much as they do in some other systems. So I think you have.
No, I
think the
agree
learning
with that.
curve.
Yeah.
I think the learning curve coming out of this system for quarterbacks and receivers is going to be tougher at the next level than it would be for somebody coming out of a different system. Doesn't mean you can't overcome it. Some of these guys did.
And Hendon's answer was great at the combine, but the follow-up the NFL teams will have obviously is, what if your first read isn't open? Because it's not always going to be in the NFL.
Right, and we also have this tape of you at Virginia Tech in another system, and you didn't look like this. So, that to me, that would be something I would look at is, did Josh Heupel coach him up as a quarterback, or was he just a product of the Josh Heupel system that makes quarterbacks look better than they are? I would, if I'm an NFL scout, I really like Hendon Hooker. I would love for the Patriots to get him as a, as a insurance policy for Mac Jones, and see what he develops into. But at the same time, I would be paying close attention to, we have a couple years of Virginia Tech tape. He looked this way. At Tennessee, he looked this way. I got to reconcile and figure out what's the difference here. Was this just normal improvement, or was this fuzzy math? Was this a product of that system? One thing I would say that is positive, though, if because other schools recruit against Tennessee, when they're looking at these recruits, they're going to say, hey, you go there, it's not a pro-style system. We got a pro-style system. We'll get you ready for the NFL. The quarterbacks came out of here. Second pick in the draft in the first round, second round, fourth round. That's 3 guys. 2 of them went in the first 2 rounds. I don't think that's something you got to worry about in terms of people recruiting against Tennessee.
And I mean, in the receiver position, look at what you could have this year. You could have a first-round guy who 2 years ago was basically benched. Then he wins the Blitnikoff Award, and he could be a first-round draft pick. I think they say, look, you come in here, you've got the ability. We're going to coach you to where you're going to get better regardless of what our system is.
Yeah, I think Tennessee staff has strengthened its recruiting pitch the last 2 years. I think the offensive line has been something they've had to battle. But Darnell Wright, who's a 5-star guy coming out of high school, didn't do a whole lot his first couple of years. In this system, developed into a potential, maybe likely first-round pick now. And Jim Nagy from the Senior Bowl is saying, we love his development under this staff to what he is now as an offensive line prospect. They will sell that to recruits.
All right, very good. When we come back, the NCAA smacked around some former UT aides and assistants this week, but Tennessee's case drags on and on and on. You want it over with. So is this a bigger concern, or is it still just going to be a smack on the wrist? Let's discuss that. Come on back.